Start recording. Thank you so much for that. Hey everybody, welcome to the Arts Commission meeting for Tuesday, June 1st, 2021. And I'd like to start by calling the roll. If you could just say your name for the record, and starting with myself, Mark Allen, Chairman.
Brian Casper, voting member.
Nora Green, voting member.
Steve Rust, voting member.
Liz Tardif, new member.
Excellent. Who else do we have?
Kadeem as well.
Kadeem, just state your name for the record.
Kadeem Rowers, voting member.
Okay, very good. I think that's all we have, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Everybody, I'd like to introduce you to Elizabeth Tardif, who is our new member, who is the RTC designation for taking the place of Tom Keegan. It had been Emerson Striniti previously, and now we have Elizabeth. So I just wanted to give her a chance to say hello. Elizabeth?
Hi, everyone. Oh, can you hear me?
Just
Hi.
Elizabeth, maybe you want to just, I know we've had a chance to get acquainted, maybe just give the folks here a little bit of your background.
You're off mute now. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep. Oh, okay. Hi. Okay, so it's great to meet everybody. And Tom, I had recently joined the RTC, and Tom mentioned to Tom that I'm very involved with the art world. I have an art consulting business. I'm an artist, and I'm also involved with real estate as well. I do work for Sotheby's, but primarily I'm focused on my art consulting business, which is a company that serves both artists, professional artists, and also the consumer. So I try to help people find art, and then I also try to help artists connect to people that want to buy their art and help them maybe build their business a little bit. So I serve on the Friends of the Library Board in Fairfield because I run the gallery that's located inside of that library. I'm the gallery manager, and we have a large curatorial committee, and it's run like a professional gallery, but it's not open right now. We still have not reopened since the pandemic. So, but I'm very involved with, have been for years, with a lot of the art associations. So.
Very cool. I just want to interject for a second. The chair wants to just recognize Jolie Long, who just joined us. Jolie, if you could just state your name for the record, for the roll call.
Jolie Leung.
Thank you so much. So back to Elizabeth. I think Elizabeth is going to be a great fit for us. Not only her background in the arts, but her background in business. One of the things that I've been really focused on, and Sabrina knows this as well, is really looking at the economic impact that the arts has on our local economy, not just in the city, but in the state, and just on a arts and cultural level. I think that that's really, really important for us to establish that, and with data-driven understanding of the impact of arts on economics. So I think that's going to be really, really important, having a woman with Elizabeth's background join us. So thank you so much, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Looking forward to doing some good work.
Thank you so much. Just moving ahead, Sabrina, do we have anyone here from the public who would like to participate?
We do not.
Okay, thank you so much. I see somebody by the name of Rianne Bromark.
I believe they're the stenographer.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you so much. Okay, did everybody receive in the Elizabeth, you weren't here last meeting, correct?
That's correct.
Did everyone else have a chance to review the meeting minutes from May 4th, 2021? Did anyone have any questions about that?
Brian Casper, I have changes or notes. Let me give me a second to pull it up.
Sure, thank you very much.
The main notes actually in reference, just a couple of names are wrong. This is what committee staff updates, page 2, event discussions, art manifestation. They have Mr. Prada, Julio Prada, that is listed as the person leading that discussion. That was Weverson. And then further down under old business, it does correctly list me as the person bringing up the art manifestation. However, it reads as if I personally was involved and or looking for sponsorship, which it was, again, Weverson Ponte that was the one who had kind of opened that discussion up and led that discussion.
Okay, so Brian, that was in, you're right, that was in number 1, where it said Mr. Prada discusses product.
Right,
Project?
1, yeah. Number
Okay.
1 art manifestation, Mr. Prada, was actually Weverson Ponte who discussed that project.
Right, fair enough. So that should be amended to Mr. Ponte discussed this project in line 1.
And then it is page, what are we on? Page number 6. Under old business, it says that I had brought up the idea, blah, 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 from art manifestation, and I was looking to use the Arts Commission's logo. And again, it was Weverson Ponte, Mr. Ponte, who had made those specific requests, not me.
Okay, fair enough. So Rayanne, if you could just make sure you note that we are going to amend the minutes for last month. In both those sections, it should read under old business that Mr. Ponte brought up the idea from the art manifestation earlier, etc. Thank you, Brian, for pointing that out. That's really important to note.
Yeah, no problem.
Go under art manifestation, it says, is it long?
Mhm. Yeah, I was
brought
just
up the
about to point
nice
that out.
Events
as well.
past support, but I think that was Janet who did that. I don't think you did that, right?
That's correct. I was about to point that out as well.
Oh, and my name is spelt wrong on the back page with the second emotion.
That is correct, Ms. Grubin. So just for the stenographer's sake and for the record, just to state the correct spelling of your name.
Oh, my correct spelling is G-R-U-D as in David, I-N.
Okay, thank you very much. And then under the adjournment, where Jolie, are you referencing on the adjournment, or was that earlier?
That was earlier under art manifestation, but I also did not. I don't think I second the motion for adjournment.
Okay. Let me double check that section there. Okay, so we don't know who seconded the motion for adjournment. We would have to review that in the recording. Let's see. It says Ms. Lung went through how the commission has supported. Yeah, that Nori, I believe that's correct. That was Janet Evelyn. So in the section 1 art manifestation, where it says Ms. Lung went through how the commission has supported the NICE festival, NICE event in the past, that should be changed to Miss Evelyn went through how the commission has supported the NICE event in the past, etc. So we'll make note of that. Given these changes, do we have a motion to pass as amended? Do we otherwise have a motion to table that pending the actual changes?
Brian Casper, I motion to pass the minutes as amended.
Recognized. Is there a second for that motion? Elizabeth, I believe you would need to abstain for this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, yes, you would need to abstain since you were not at that meeting. Do we have another second?
I'll second it with the changes in effect.
Duly noted. Okay, can we get a vote of aye by name? Roll call, Mark Allen, aye.
Brian Casper, I.
Lori Gruden, aye.
Kadeem Roberts, aye.
Julie
Steve.
Lung, aye.
Steve Rust, aye.
Actually, Kadeem, you weren't at the last meeting, I believe, were you?
No, I'm looking at it now. I'm staying. I'm sorry.
Problem. Okay, so I believe that's five ayes. Is that correct, Sabrina?
Yes, 5 ayes, 2 abstentions.
Okay,
That passes.
that's correct. So that passes. Well, actually, right, it's 5 to pass, correct?
Yeah, there's 9 of you. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you very much. Okay, the minutes pass as amended, as to be amended. Stand by, please. Okay, moving on to the budget committee update. Nori, if you will.
Yes, I got the budget from Marissa. It starts July 1st, correct, Sabrina?
Yes.
So I sent Sabrina, Bob, and Mark, if you want to share that, Mark, to the group. I set up the spreadsheets because we have a couple new tabs. They've changed some of the accounts that we're going to be using. Starting in July 1st, we'll have $14,400 to work with. And we have to remember that part of that, we pay Michelle between $500 and $625 per month, depending on the hours that she's working to do our social media. And we also pay Telesco. Some months it was like $130 a couple times, but most of the time it's like $120. So those are funds that, you know, we're obligated to pay because we do that per year.
I can share my screen, but I don't actually have Excel. I don't know how that's going to work.
It could be read only. I'm not sure.
Actually, Sabrina, can I share my screen? For me, that's disabled.
It shouldn't be. I'm not sure why it's not letting you. Here, let me make you a co-host and it should let you. Do you have it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sharing the screen, although now I can't see it myself, so I don't know what's.
We can't either. I'm not sure what's going on.
Okay.
I mean, nor I can share what's in the agenda package.
Yeah, that would work.
Okay.
Because, you know, if this way people can see, like, I think business expenses is a different account than we had before. Advertising is a different account. But you can see the totals. What I can do, if you want to, Mark, every month I could send the group the spreadsheet that I'm keeping together.
That's fine.
Maritza keeps the same type of spreadsheet, and that's what I include a summary of it. So you can send out the math one if you want, but that's what this is for this current year budget, kind of what we have left over in the end column, and then this is our next year budget.
I was wondering if we have bills due that, or is there a chance to get that rolled over, that 1995? Or do we have bills coming in?
We should have bills coming in. Most of the money that we have is going to be spent on the Washington Street barriers.
Okay,
Right. Sabrina, was there a portion of that Washington Street barriers that was actually going to be like over that you were going to cover?
Yes.
Right. So
I'm
is
going to use your guys' money first for the artist payments and however many barriers you can cover, and then I'm going to cover the rest of the barriers.
okay. So regarding the next year's budget, this 14,000 that's shown, is there anything that's like misleading here that's like that money is already spoken for, other than what's represented here?
Just the ones that Nori brought up. So your Telesco is the secretarial services. So that $2,100 is pretty much to the dollar of what you're going to spend. And then the other professional services is that between 600 and 650 that we allocate to Michelle. And just remember, she's going to be a little bit more expensive going forward because we're doing the newsletter.
Assuming that
So it
passes.
probably be around probably 700 or something like that. We have enough money in that account to cover it, but we just have to be conscientious of that.
Right.
And then the advertising budget that we have is new, and that will be for social media posts, anything like that. And then our business expenses and the printing and duplicating can be used both for if we start doing art shows again and we want to, buy soda and snacks or whatever, or if we want to sponsor stuff, that's where that money's going to come out of.
Got it.
so the
Okay.
advertising would be used to say if you want to boost something, or I don't know the name for Facebook, to get that going, correct?
Correct. Correct. And as far as these amounts go, I mean, Sabrina, you basically set these amounts at this point, right?
Yeah, and at the same time, they're not set in stone. We can't
Mhm.
really, transfer around money too much, but
Right.
because our budget's small, we never really meet the $5,000 cap of transferring that much. So if we, for example, I don't know, we needed a printing budget of $2,000 that we needed something printed for, and we had leftover money and other professional services or advertising or something like that, we can transfer it over, or business expense. If it's a small amount, we can do that down the line. We just have to make sure that the secretarial services and the money for Michelle is untouched, basically.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you very much. So the only thing on the budgeting level is we have not. Yeah, we'll get to the other stuff when we get around to talking about social media in general. Okay, awesome. You can. I think we're done on the screen share. Thank you so much. Stand by 1 second.
And it is an increase from what we originally got from last year, which was 9,300, not including all the rollover money we ended up getting. So it is a little bit of an increase.
So Sabrina, is that right? Because I thought that our money went down actually.
No, it went up. Last year we only got, like Nori said, 9,000 and change, and then the rollovers made it, up to whatever it ended up being, like 20 something, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember, and I have to look back at the minutes. Did we approve using our money for those banners?
Not yet, no. The banners for the barriers, you mean? Yes, we did.
Oh, okay. I couldn't remember.
I thought you were talking about the banners for the Nice Festival and stuff. We haven't talked about that yet, but the barriers, we approved it, and then my budget's going to cover whatever the gap is, because you guys just don't have enough to cover the whole project, which is fine. I have a printing budget, and I also use my printing budget to get you guys a tablecloth that has the logo on it as well.
We also have somewhere a banner that says Arts Commission. I don't know where it is.
A lot of the Liz Stalker stuff has gone like completely missing. And if she kept that with her stuff for whatever reason, which most likely it was in the same place, nobody knows where any of that stuff is.
Yeah, because I remember hanging it up when we had the Norwalk Art Festival at Matthews Park. We used to hang that banner up with our booth.
I didn't. Yeah, that's before my time.
Yeah.
I don't remember even seeing that, but I don't doubt it. Okay. All right, thank you so much. Moving on to the Communications Committee update. There's really nothing new to report. We have not done any additional social media boosting since the round of boosting we did to advertise the MLK outreach. And primarily it's because we just are out of money at this point until the new fiscal year. I had proposed for the Communications Committee to this new business of starting this newsletter, and had proposed for Michelle's hours to be increased for the sake of helping us administer this newsletter. We simply don't have the money for that until the new year. So that said, until we approve that, that's all conjecture at this point, hypothetical. But other than that, there's nothing new to report with social media, other than we've been continuing to support, showing artwork for the Maritime Gallery, and that those posts have been really attractive. And yeah, I think the social media has really been vibrant, all things considered. Even without any boosting, I think it's been very vibrant, and I think Michelle's doing a great job.
I have a question, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
What are the social media accounts that we use? Is it Instagram and Facebook, or?
Yes, we do have. We have a Facebook, and we also have an Instagram. And generally speaking, all voting members have access to the social media. So we encourage our members to share our social media posts, as well as comment, etc. Not all our members do, but we certainly encourage it. It would be good for everyone here on this Zoom to really familiarize yourself with the diverse mission of the Arts Commission. We really try to have our Arts Commission social media reflect that mission. Being the sort of glue between the city of Norwalk and our diverse arts community, spreading the word about the news about what our excuse my stutter, all the diverse events, arts events, arts news. We really try to reflect as much of that in our social media as we can. And in as much as I think that our staffer, Michelle Rakowski, is doing a great job. She, of course, can't be the eyes and ears for the entire Arts Commission. So we really try to encourage all our members to communicate by email with me, with the chair, and with all our members, all the things that you guys are involved in on the arts, any news that we can share through our social media. You guys be the eyes and the ears of the Arts Commission to let us know what's happening so that we can broadcast that news appropriately. It would be great if you could do that. Moving on to the Infrastructure Committee update, I'd like to turn it over to Brian Casper for a committee update.
I mean, same as Mark, nothing really new. We had every intention in the world of having a meeting this past month that did not come to fruition. I'm hoping to change that and make it a little more regular, ideally within the same week we do these meetings, just so everything is fresh in everyone's mind, or maybe the week before or something. I do have some longer term projects that I'm hoping to work on that really aren't worth discussing here because I don't think anyone even from anyone else from infrastructure is even here. Plus, they're all just nuggets of ideas in the back of my mind that we need to discuss internally. So yeah, I don't really have any updates, except I'm hoping to do more regular subcommittee meetings.
So I think one thing that's important for a communications committee, I mean, basically, other than the budget committee, communications committee and infrastructure committee are our two main committees. And they're both pretty broad umbrellas, infrastructure being even the most broad. And I think that given the fact that, we have Elizabeth here who's new, Jolie who's relatively new, and Stephen Russ who's relatively new, I think it's going to be really important for us, Brian, to really look at the members of those two committees
Yeah.
and make sure that we are integrating our new members as well as we can.
Absolutely.
I think that we have a wealth of experience and knowledge there, and I think it would be great to
Yeah.
tap that.
And that's kind of, and we talked about that a little bit, out of the meetings, that I think we could easily activate kind of different people within these subcommittees to be quote unquote foot soldiers a little bit, to make certain things happen and kind of delegate. And that's what I'm hoping to do. Again, the month just kind of got away from us and didn't have a chance to really bring that together. But yeah, that is absolutely the hope. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. So for the sake of the new members, our infrastructure committee is it's a pretty diverse committee. But essentially, the committees is where a lot of the work gets done more offline and then more casually. Basically, we try to get all the work done, everything sort of buttoned up so that when it needs to come back to the Arts Commission voting body for approval, all the work has essentially been done. Works very similar to that in the Common Council. The work gets done in committee, and when it comes before the Common Council for vote, everything is essentially already buttoned up. Then if people have questions, certainly prior to voting, those questions can be asked and answered. But we're not doing the work here in these commission meetings. Infrastructure in general deals with public art policy. It deals with things like our public art collection. It deals issues related to public art policy, and also deals with things like overseeing the MLK art project that's ongoing. That in itself is sort of a subcommittee of of the infrastructure. We formed a special committee with Janet Evelyn as the lead of that for overseeing that project. But in general, I sort of see infrastructure as sort of like the nuts and bolts in the infrastructure of the Arts Commission, as well as things related to the Arts Committee community. So it's pretty diverse work that goes on there. And if you guys are interested in that, I have a sort of a loose list of how I saw the new members sort of joining these committees, but it's really up to you guys. I can put your name on a list, but for you to get involved offline in your spare time, it's asking a lot, but it's really up to you guys to really want to get involved. It's not for me to tell you that you need to be involved.
Is there somewhere where you can see kind of what the projects are that each committee is working on, so you get a sense of where you'd fit in the best?
For sure. I would say that Brian would be good to email everyone about these the infrastructure.
Yeah.
Communications is dealing primarily with public outreach, and as it sounds, communications. It's more about, and when we do things sometimes there's overlap. Like for instance, in MLK, the main project was sort of done under infrastructure as far as planning, etc. But once it came to doing public outreach for reaching the artists and the arts community, that's when the communications committee became involved. So there is often overlap, and the lines are not always easily understood, but that's the best way of looking at it. Is infrastructure is sort of the nuts and bolts, and communications is public outreach. And but that said, we can certainly, for the benefit of the new members, we can kind of give you sort of a list of the ongoing projects that we have.
That would be great. Thanks. And Brian, are you running the infrastructure committee?
Yeah, that was decided last meeting.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that had been Emerson previously. That said, we had previously voted on committee leaders and come to really find out that because the committee structure is an informal policy, it's not part of our legal mandate. So therefore, committee formation and leadership is not something we need to vote on. So I appointed Brian Casper as the leader of that. And he's bringing a lot of energy to it, and I expect good things. So
I got big ideas.
I expect good things.
Mark, along those lines, sorry, I dropped off, my computer shut off. But along those lines, I've been speaking with Jess in the mayor's office about getting your bylaws up to date and actually passed through the commission and then onto council, because apparently that's never been done before, which is, not great.
Right. No,
So
you're right.
so
It's
what
not
we're
been done before.
what we're operating on right now is just that the Arts Commission was created via a city ordinance, but we need to make sure that we have bylaws that are approved that we should be following, which we are following, and they're just not official. So that becomes a problem going forward when we're signing contracts, for example, for capital projects and things like that, when we don't have our set bylaws in place so that legal can reference, this is what the Arts Commission is, this is how it's made up, and this is, what we should be following. There's a specific line in the bylaws as well that we can talk offline about, but it essentially bars any participation from any of the members in any art project that we do, which we haven't been following because number one, I don't think it's fair, but number two, if we want artists to participate in being on the Arts Commission, we shouldn't necessarily bar them from doing any work for the Arts Commission and getting compensation for that as well. So there's, we can have a chat about it, but maybe there's a threshold that, if somebody's getting paid over X amount of dollars, then they can't apply to be a part of the project, or just they have to abstain from a vote on spending any of that funding, those types of things. But we should have a document in place that's approved by council that can actually be a binding document for us going forward, especially as we do more projects. So I just wanted to flag that.
I think that's great. I mean, that's what I've wanted to see for a long time, because I feel like that's the basis for us to grow. And for us, the basis for us, for the city to invest more money in the projects that we want to do. I feel like the more black and white the guidelines that we follow, the more that speaks to our authority and responsibility.
Where would we get a copy? Where would I get a copy of the bylaws that we currently have?
It's in their Google Drive that they have, which if you get the login to the Gmail, you would have it, but I can also send that to you tomorrow morning via an email as well, so you have it.
Okay, cool, thanks.
And keeping in mind, so Sabrina, my question to you is, aside from the bylaws, would our public art policy still be an informal policy, or would that be subject to common council approval as well?
I was informed to keep it as an informal policy, like a document that we follow and update regularly and approve through commission, but that it doesn't go farther than that, so that the Arts Commission solely has the authority to change it.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, we need that document to guide us on how we review things and stuff like that, and we should have that, but it doesn't need to go to council. However, the bylaws, since that's kind of going to be a guiding document for when we're actually executing contracts and things like that and actually paying out money, we should definitely have that one approved by council for sure.
Fair enough. Duly noted. I agree with that. Okay, so do you, Sabrina, do you think that is something we would work on offline through the chair, vice chair, et cetera? Do you think that that's like an infrastructure committee project in itself?
I think it could be a little bit of both because I mean, the infrastructure committee can make the actual changes. Obviously, I'll assist with them because I'll review them kind of from a legal perspective of what I know they're going to say and what they're going to need and what's kind of missing. But then, I mean, the chair should probably definitely be involved. But then when it comes to the full commission, we could come for discussion before we actually come for approval as well, because we want to also present a draft form publicly before we go ahead and approve it.
Fair enough. And I think that that will play into the part A of the new business, which is the what I'm proposing as more of a position than just a statement, but relating to equity in the arts, which I think is an important thing for us to focus on. So that said, we'll conclude this infrastructure committee update, and we'll move on to the new business. In this part A, amending the mission of the Arts Commission to include an equity statement. This is more of something that I am proposing for discussion than necessarily a decision at this moment anyway. So everybody is aware, the city of Norwalk, like many of the municipalities around the country, are really looking at trying to create equity and making sure that there's an awareness for equity within our, municipalities. And equity meaning speaking to people, people of all backgrounds having equal access to things like medicine, education, artistic equity, and so forth. And it's something that a lot of the governments and a lot of municipalities, cities, state, and federal are all looking at. And in 2021, or maybe it was 2020, Mayor Rilling announced the formation of a commission for the city of Norwalk that's going to be the Equity and Justice for All Commission. From the time that he announced that, there have been a lot of people asking questions about, well, what is this commission actually going to do? And one of the things that they have done now is hire a consulting firm that is basically doing an assessment of the city of Norwalk from an equity standpoint. And one of the fellows that I've been dealing with his name is Gerald Moore. He's the consultant who is sort of assessing Norwalk from an arts equity point of view. And, this is a new thing for me, understanding what equity in the arts is all about. Access to the arts for people of all backgrounds. Norwalk is a very diverse community, economically, culturally, etc. And understanding that and making sure that, we as the Arts Commission sort of are making sure that what we're doing sort of respects that equity position. And I started taking a look at some of these equity statements for the these various organizations, and understanding what cultural equity embodies. And it really, I don't necessarily think that it means changing the work that we're doing, but really understand, like I'd spoken to Janet Evelyn about this offline. And I said to Janet, what do you feel about the Arts Commission amending our mission to include an equity statement? And she said, amending the words are okay, but we really want to make sure that the work we're doing respects an equitable point of view, and is reflecting in our work, not just in our words. And I completely understand that. That said, I've been taking a look at this definition of cultural equity. one of the statements that I've come across is from the American American Association of the Arts, and they say that cultural equity embodies the values, policies, and practices that ensure that all people, including but not limited to those who have been historically underrepresented, based on race, ethnicity, age, disability, sexual orientation, gender, gender identity, socioeconomic status, geography, citizenship, religion, etc., that they are represented in the development of arts policy, the support of artists, the nurturing of accessible, thriving venues for expression, and the fair distribution of programmatic and financial and informational resources. That all said, I believe that we are doing that to a certain degree with, especially with our MLK project, and really making sure that, you know, we are opening up our programs to artists of all backgrounds. But I think it's really worth addressing this as the Arts Commission, and I would like to open that up for discussion. Does anyone else have any things they want to say on that subject?
Well, I would just ask questions, not obviously being involved, being new here, really knowing the kinds of things that you worked on, but do you see specific weaknesses where we are, you know, may be missing the mark on those kinds of things? Again, not knowing what is done. I've always found the art world to be kind of inclusive, you know, just kind of by its nature, you know? So I don't know, are there specific things that anyone here has noticed that are missing that we could focus on?
The only thing I can think of is the public understanding the time period of what we're in charge of when it comes to the artwork in town, because the WPA murals can be a sticking point for people because of what they depict.
Right. Mhm.
And we're the historical society is in charge of them. So City Hall, you have the purchase of Norwalk, some of the Mark Twain pictures, you know, paintings that can be, you know, not representation. The sport ones, you know, that can be not considered equity in art, but the Art Commission that's not under our umbrella. We're, I think, 1960 and newer.
Mm.
So if we're going to have an equity statement, I think we should clarify which pieces of artwork that is under our domain opposed to the Historical Society. Because I think it'll confuse people, because we have stuff that isn't really equity that's up and out in the city that we don't have control over. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Just to have that out there. People can.
So a link with the historical committee in some way, to sort of how they, you know, or at least that there's some awareness of it. Do we do anything with the library, the Norwalk City Library?
We do actually a lot. We do a lot of collaborative work with the Norwalk Public Library, you know, and that said, and when, you know, Sabrina and I have been talking quite a lot about the intersection between arts and culture in general. We talk a lot about arts as cultural, for incentivizing, increasing cultural tourism and so forth. You know, we talk a lot about that, and I think, sure, we don't want it to just be in the silo of the Arts Commission. Certainly, there's going to be impacts, you know, aspects of it within the library system, Historical Commission for sure, and there will end up becoming an equity statement, I'm sure, for the city of Norwalk in general. I'm just simply saying I'd like to get ahead of the curve and begin that conversation for us within the Arts Commission. And really just to take a look at our practices. I can't tell you that there's any holes that I see,
No.
but you know, I think that we're a diverse Arts Commission, and I think it'd be really worth having a broad conversation on that. You know, Janet might have her own ideas on that. And others may have their own ideas. I'd like to open that conversation up. And again, I'm not looking for a quick answer here. I'm not looking for a quick vote on an amended statement, but I'd like us to take a look at that in general, because I think it's important.
So in situations where we would be considering artists for certain projects where they would get exposure and
Right, exactly. Make sure that we are, opening it up as broadly as we can. People have this, we think of our public art collection as it's the WPA murals, and our public art collection, in my mind, is much more broad than that.
Yeah, we have so much stuff from the sculpture. I mean, you can consider our poet laureate is an asset. It's just that I think because when you go into City Hall, that stuff's in your face, that's what they probably think of first. And we should kind of tune them into being, the art projects like MLK, the stuff at the library that's new that was painted recently, the traffic graphics, stuff like that, to say, this is the modern stuff that the Art Commission is doing, opposed to the stuff you see at City Hall. That we're more than that. And
Right.
really, when we do the equity, maybe putting out there the poetry, the jazz, all the different stuff that we do besides artwork, the murals. Just
You're
let
right.
them give it more of a modern spin than, the stuff that is under the Historical Society's umbrella.
Well, that's true. We are extremely, extremely, extremely diverse arts community. We have people from all backgrounds and all walks of life. So I'm very focused on that, the diversity. I think that is a huge asset for the Norwalk. So in as much as we can respect that in regard to the arts, I think the more we can, the better. And with respect to our mission. So what I'm going to do is the research that I've done, I'm going to forward to everyone here, and then and hopefully we can just continue to discuss this offline. And I think that it's really important that we hear from each of our arts commissioners on this subject, for the sake of inclusion. That's what it's really about. It's inclusion, and making sure that we have representation from all aspects of the community. Moving on, I'd like to, unless anyone else has anything else to add on that, I'd like to move on to the item B of the new business, which is I am proposing that we create 3 banners and 1 step and repeat. This is really for printed materials, and this would be for the Arts Commission to use at events in 2021, 2022. This would come out of our miscellaneous printing budget. Truth be told, this was my idea, and I did not come with any pricing for this printing, so I'm a little bit at a disadvantage in terms of seeking approval, but it is something that I would like to see, if not approved for today, but something we can approve in July. I feel that once this new budget is available, that this would be a good thing for us to do, to represent the Arts Commission at various arts events. We did have a banner in the past, which we've acknowledged that we don't know where it is, but I think that having at least 2 to 3 banners, and I would like to see a step and repeat, because I know from myself in terms of my business, are you guys all familiar with what a step and repeat is?
no.
A step and repeat is like when you go to an event and there is a background where people get their photos taken in front of this background. And the background usually has like the sponsor logos on it, whether it's NBC or whatever, but in this case, it would be an Arts Commission step and repeat. This is something that we would deploy at events for photos. Again, this is more about spreading the message of the Arts Commission in the arts community. And I think the step and repeat is one really cool way of doing that. They're not very expensive to make. It's kind of like printing a banner. It's something that just gets deployed at events. Or if you, let's say you were to imagine a booth at an event, or you could imagine that as the background for your booth. That's another use for it. So what I will do is I will come with more prepared for the next meeting with prices for these things, and I will make a more specific proposal to that at that point.
I personally think it's really important to have those.
Mark, once you let me know what you want, we can email from my office to like the various printers that the city uses and price compare. I just need to know exactly what you want so I can ask them.
Okay, very good. Now, that said, we have, I know people are not all fans of the current Arts Commission logo. I think you would say, right, Sabrina?
Yeah. Oh, it's, yeah. Is there an option to get it redesigned? I don't know.
There has been discussion. There was a movement, I don't know, maybe last year or the year before, to sort of create new logos for the various commissions and the various, like the library, that was done to make it more cohesive. That said, not everyone is a fan of what they came up with. If there is a better way of representing the Arts Commission in printed form, I'm certainly open to.
But you're saying that our current logo existed because they're trying to create a cohesive unit between all of city aspects of city government that needed a logo. That's what we have now currently. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Again, when we were talking about the Art Speaks, I think Bob and Peter Smith at the time had come up with a logo for that. We're not, I don't believe, Sabrina, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not bound by ordinance to, we can have other logos, correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Right. So in as much as, our logo does not need to be, that generic logo that the city uses for everything else, we can have a more artistic representation. In as much as we're going to be committing this to printing banners in some respect, I'm certainly open to, the creative people here if you have alternate ideas.
I mean, I think there's room for improvement. It's not, I mean, I've certainly seen worse logos, but there's room for improvement. I'm not opposed to that.
I think it would be a nice thing to do. Yeah.
Cool. So we could talk about that offline, Brian. If you want to address that as a function of infrastructure, we can do that. If we want to approach that as more communications, we can do that. I'm not opposed to either.
It's probably a little bit. I think it's probably a little bit of both. Maybe a little more on communications,
one of those things,
but
definitely a little of both.
Yeah.
Okay. We can move on to old business here. The NICE Festival. Janet is not here to give us an update on that. Sabrina, is now an appropriate time to talk about where we stand as far as the Arts Commission in terms of supporting events or limitations and so forth?
Sure.
So why don't I turn that over to you, Sabrina, since you have more information on that.
Sure. So essentially, we're trying to head away from, it's kind of hard to explain, but we're trying to head away from the city or any entity of the city blankly writing a check to support any event. Because what we've been doing is providing in-kind services so that if we give, because what ends up happening is if we give X amount of money to X event, and we don't give X amount of money to another event, it then becomes, it's just something we shouldn't be doing with taxpayer dollars, essentially. So what we've been doing on the city side is providing in-kind services to those folks. But on top of that, what we can do with Arts Commission money is essentially what we have been doing, which is, you know, putting banners up, having booths, those types of things. So we just have to try to avoid just blankly sponsoring things unless it's something that we're getting out of it. So for example, for art manifestation, we'll pay, you know, the $1,000 for the booth, but we have to have the booth. We can't just say, okay, here's $1,000, do what you want with it type of thing, if that makes sense.
Right. Right. So it's not a blank check. There's a specific exchange of a goods or service for a certain amount of money. In other words.
Exactly. So we're physically there, physically doing something to promote the Arts Commission and gain, you know, either membership or involvement or awareness. So we're getting something out of that rather than just saying, here's $1,000. We don't really care what you do with it, kind of thing.
Right. So I had been, you know, this is important because, you know, I'd been pushing for a long time for us to have representation at these events. I want to have an Arts Commission booth. I want to have a banner, but I want to have people there representing the Arts Commission. We've had a number of Arts Commission-ish events in the past where, you know, the Arts Commission would endorse the event. It would be a quasi Arts Commission event, but then nobody from Arts Commission would come. And that's not something we're going to do anymore. It's really important that we have members there to represent. I'd like it to be more than just myself sitting in a booth. But that said, I mean, Make Music Day was one thing we talked about supporting. The Nice Festival was something we talked about supporting with a booth, with a banner, with actual representation, not just writing a check for supporting the event.
I think some of that participation will fall a little bit on communications to determine the like language, talking points, whatever. So when we are at a booth, we have the things to say that we need to say about what it is we're all about and what we need from the public and how maybe people can get involved in whatever's coming up. And it'd be good for everyone to have like whoever is like working an event or whatever the situation is to be able to speak to, not just like, oh yeah, we're a group of artists and sometimes we like have these long meetings and approve stuff.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. I think it is an out part of communications, and you know that's like again kind of connects to everything. And you know, from an equity point of view, opportunities for artists. We want to make sure that you know people understand that there are opportunities for artists. One of the things Sabrina and I have been talking about is that the arts. We'd like to see more arts actually get commissioned, more projects for commissioning art, and which would make more opportunities for artists to, you know, for art to be created, and so forth. So communicating these opportunities, so having that representation there at these festivals is a way of directly engaging with the artists and letting them know about opportunities that exist. I think that's really important.
The show that used to go on down in South Norwalk on Washington Street, is that something that we were involved with, or did we organize, or?
We weren't part of the organizing. That's a private festival, much like the Art Manifestation and Nice Festivals, privately run. We did get offered. Well, the last one didn't happen because of COVID, but prior to that, and very last minute, they had called me up and they said, we'd like to get the Arts Commission involved. And they offered me to rent a booth. At that point, we really had it was too last minute. And then they even came through and said, we'll give you the booth for nothing. And at that point, it was like, it would have just been an empty tent with me sitting at a table. It really wasn't enough time for us to really take advantage of it. But in general, that's an example of what we'd like to see. Is we'd like to see the Arts Commission have a representation, you know, whether it's a booth, a tent, or a table with materials, a reason to engage with the public at events just like that. And so that's definitely something we're going to be planning on. That is a festival we're going to want to support in the future. You know.
Could I also get a copy of the mission statement that we currently have? The mission statement and then the bylaws, just to understand what the objective here is for this.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be great, thanks.
Absolutely. Given those, that understanding of so we're not going to be sponsoring, like, we're not just going to be sponsoring any events, but if there is an event or a festival where we want to, if an opportunity is offered to us for a booth or or some other way of engaging with the festival, then certainly we can talk about that on a case by case basis. The Nice Festival, we don't have Janet here to speak to us about that. The Nice Festival stands for, it's basically a multicultural music and art festival that Janet Evelyn runs every year at Oyster Shell Park. We had discussed, Sabrina, did you have Janet's specific proposal for that festival? Did she send that to you?
I do have it. I don't have it on me right now, but it's $500 for the street pole banners. But coming up next, so after this festival, this July, we'll have neighborhood banners up. And I don't know what the city and DPW and SNU and whoever owns the dang light poles, wherever they are, is going to do about people who use those things for sponsorships for events. So I know this year they'll be up and we can obviously put them up. We can obviously have a booth. However, going forward, I don't know if that's going to be a viable option for her sponsorship, or if it is going to be. I have no inclination either way at this point. So that's kind of that at that point.
So here's the thing. The next time we meet is going to be after, I believe it's going to be after Janet's event, correct?
Correct. So you, if you wanted to approve having a booth or something like that, you would have to go to the event, do it, and then we would have to pay kind of after the fact.
Right. Let me just clarify that. Is her event July 2nd? Do you know?
It's the first weekend in July. So if that's the first Saturday, then yes. I think it's the 3rd.
July 3rd.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we would have a meeting the following week.
And regardless of whether we were to have a booth or not, we would need to approve that money today, correct?
Correct. Anything that you would want to spend towards it would have to be done today, yes.
And then the money itself is going to come out of next year's budget, correct? And Janet understands that.
Correct. So her events in next fiscal year, technically speaking, as well. So
do you have from her email what the amount was for the booth itself? I mean, I know that she had given us a list of the things that she wanted us to see us do, but
let me check.
What the cost was for that?
I'll have to look it up. I don't have it on me, but I think she has it on her website. So just give me a sec.
Okay. Was there anybody here who might potentially be available to represent the Arts Commission on July 3rd, Saturday at the Nice Festival?
I'm possibly around, yeah.
Okay. And
it'll be you and me in a booth alone.
right.
Yeah, likewise, I'll throw my hat in the ring too.
Yeah, I also might be around.
Excellent. Excellent. Great.
So her sponsorship brochure doesn't have the price breakdown, which is interesting.
Let me find the email that she sent me.
Is the booth going to be cheaper than, well, we can't do the banners, but I'm wondering if we were to do banners for her to get a booth for free, depending on.
Yeah,
how
so
much.
the booth cost is $333.33.
And maybe we can do a banner if we have, I don't know where that money is going to come out of, whether it's printing and duplication or.
Yeah, so the printing and duplication, we can use that for the banner itself. And then for the booth itself, you would probably use something like business expenses or something like that.
But I'm just wondering if we could barter a banner for, because she originally wanted banner. So if we buy a banner, can you give us a booth?
I would suggest if you're approving an amount tonight to approve the amount. So say you're not going to spend over, $400 or whatever that is.
Mhm.
And then tell Janet, we definitely want a booth and see what you could do for the banners with the amount of up to the cap of what you approved tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
'cause
and,
it's-
and just so everyone understands that, what we mean by banners, one of the things that they do with this festival is they hang up banners around Norwalk on Eversource light poles, which are basically like, promotional banners that different companies and entities will pay for, and they use that to to promote themselves, but as well to help fund the festival. It's a little different from the banner that I was talking about, which is a banner that we would hang with a booth to represent the Arts Commission. So the banner for the actual booth that itself, for this little tent, we can take that from our printing budget, correct? Sabrina,
Yes.
right? So that we can do that through our printing. So we don't need to approve that specific cost at this moment. It's only if we want to do Janet's other banners. And I think that was $250 a piece. And you're saying you're not sure if that's going to even be viable?
It will be viable for this year, but for next year, it won't.
Okay.
This will be the last year that she's definitely going to be able to use the light poles.
Okay. Okay. So what I see personally would be, what I'd like to see is for us to at least have this booth. And I am interested in seeing us do two of these banners for Sono. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? That would be,
It's gonna eat our business expenses. That's my only thing, because you figure Sabrina just said the booth is like 330 something. And
Right.
then two banners is gonna be 500. So that's 800 right there. Leaves us with $700. Which, that's why I'm wondering if we could like barter with her and maybe get a discount on the booth and do a banner, because it's just a matter of what we have going forward. And then if we do the art speaks, that's going to also cut into, I don't want to use up all our money just when we
fair
get it.
enough. I understand that.
I agree with Nori. I mean, it's tricky because it's effectively paying for the promotion of their festival, is my understanding. These banners are not a promotion of, I mean, sure, it may say Norwalk's Art Commission on it, but it's a banner for the Nice Festival. It says like brought to you by, or whatever it is. Whereas a booth, I think, is a better use of the funds if we have to pick.
Right.
And I think Nori brings up a good point. Is there any sort of leeway we can be given here, especially since Janet sits on the Arts Commission? Like, you think we could get a little hookup. But I agree. If I had to say either way, if we have to pick between two, I say a booth is better for helping along the Arts Commission, whereas the banner is just helping along the Nice Festival, and it's a month away. So how effective
Right.
is that really going to be?
I agree with you guys, actually. I do agree with you with respect to our budget. Certainly, we certainly don't have an unlimited budget. So I do agree with you that I would like to see at least that we do the booth. You guys agree with that?
Would we want to spend money on banners before a new logo? Would we do that?
I think in regards to the Nice Festival banners specifically, which are different than what would go into a booth, I don't think it necessarily matters as much. But yes, I agree. For something that is going into a booth, it might not be the best use of funds to buy a banner that is going to get replaced
Yeah.
in a year or whatever it is, if that's a possibility. But that hasn't been decided either.
Well, right.
So, is your inclination to hold off on the, I mean, I feel like that, I agree that, yes, we wouldn't necessarily want to spend a lot of money on printing a banner if we were gonna be changing it. But I think that the Nice Festival is a really, really good opportunity for us to represent the Arts Commission. I hate to see us pass up the opportunity simply because we don't have a logo that we, you know,
Absolutely. And one of the first festivals back, which I think it's going to be well attended, even though it is July 4th week, or maybe better because it's July 4th weekend.
Yeah, I feel like we need to make sure we keep that banner for this festival. This is gonna be the first big festival that we have in the city coming back. So this is a statement, guys. This is a statement to tell people who we are, what we stand for, bring people into the fold, tell people about North Art Commission. I marched in the parade yesterday, and to see the parade yesterday, like in the vision, what the parade usually looks like, you know, people are legit like, okay, I got my shots from outside now. So now being at this Nice Festival is free as well. You know, this is legit gonna have people come outside because some people won't even want to travel because they're still, you know, kind of skeptical about COVID, whatever case may be. But some people will leave their house and walk up the street and come to this festival. So this is like a legit statement to say, okay, here we are, guys. Oh yeah, and sign me up too. I want to sit at the table too.
I agree.
yeah, I agree with that. And then regarding the logo, I mean, we do have a logo. I'm open to someone suggesting and coming up with a better alternative. But I would hate to see us miss an opportunity because we simply don't have that yet.
Yeah, and we can change it because I thought that we had to go with what the city branded and we had to wait for the next branding session. Sabrina.
No, we don't.
Okay.
It might have been that way in the past, but I have literally like 3 new logos that are floating through City Hall now. So
Okay. Yeah, because I wasn't happy with the color choices of that logo to begin with.
yeah, you guys can change it, but it's also something you can say for this year we buy the banners, the next year, you know, we get the new logo and then buy new banners then or whatever. The tablecloth that I got printed has the current logo, so that should be in hopefully by the time that you guys go.
You're talking
still
the
have
one with the semicircle, right? Not the
Yeah.
black and the black one with the colors that's in our email.
No, I have the dome one.
Yeah, you could share that if you want to, so everybody can see it.
I mean, if that would work, if we could budget out, you know, for next year, I mean, if we could live with this one while we decide.
Yeah, that's what I'm
with our new
thinking too, is
logo.
then when you just end up deciding throughout the rest of this year, then next budget cycle, we can ask for more money to cover the new stuff.
I agree. I mean, and to make a proper logo and to make a good logo takes significant amounts of time.
Right. That's kind of like we're in this position because people were sort of rushed through things that not everybody liked. So regarding the booth cost for you said there was 333. Sabrina, you suggested a maximum of $400 on that.
The actual amount is $333.33. So you could either approve that amount exactly and just get that and stay away with the pole banners, or you could say, okay, we're only going to spend $500 and then still not spend the $500 and only spend the $333. It's totally up to you guys how you want to do that.
Okay. Well, I would like to see us at least agree on the booth amount. Do we have any motions on this issue? From any of the voting members?
Like I'm always the one making motions.
Well,
I motion to approve spending $333.33 repeating on a booth at the Nice Festival. And what happens after that? You know, whatever. I motion to approve
that. Do we have a second for Brian's motion?
Second Brian's motion, Kadeem Roberts.
You second that, Kadeem, you said?
Yeah, yes.
And this is understanding that we're going to be printing materials for the Arts Commission to represent itself at this, and we'll work through the our committees to figure out what these printed materials will be.
And maybe send out like a sign up sheet of, and then people can sign in when they want to be at the booth.
Fair enough.
Because when I was doing the Norwalk one, I would do it in the morning and set up the booth, and then I'd leave by like noon, and then somebody else would come in and be on the booth, depending on
Fair
when.
enough. Fair enough.
And usually there are
Okay.
2 people.
Well, that's good. We have a second on that. So we can take a vote on that. Is there anybody that's opposed to this that would like to vote? And is there anyone who wishes to abstain from this vote? In that case, I'd like to call a roll for ayes with your name. This is Mark Allen voting aye.
Liz Tardif voting aye.
Brian Casper, aye.
Jolie Lum, aye.
Nora Gruden, aye.
Steve Rust, aye.
And I believe that's all she wrote. So the ayes carry. So I will write to Janet. I'll inform her of our vote. And we look forward to representing the Arts Commission at the Nice Festival. And I agree with you, Kadeem, wholeheartedly. I think that this is an important festival for us. And it's a good opportunity for us to get out in the community, which I'm really looking forward to doing. Thank you very much. In regard to Make Music Day, I am not seeking any, I just for everyone's notice, I am the organizer of Make Music Day. I am not seeking any funding from the Arts Commission for Make Music Day. So I will yield that. I'll yield that on in terms of the agenda. What was the third item there, Sabrina?
Manifestation.
It's the manifestation stuff if we want to have a booth there as well. They didn't, I don't know if they shared with you their cost. I believe it was $500 or maybe it was $200. I can't remember. So I don't know, their event's pretty far out, so you can wait till the next meeting for that as well. We don't have to vote on that tonight.
Yeah. So I'll motion to table I can't make a motion. Is there a motion to table the art manifestation until the next meeting?
I motion to table the art manifestation promotion for the Arts Commission until next meeting, so we find out the actual cost of the booth.
Oh, I'm on their, I have their email open. It's $1,000 for their booth. But we also get a lot of stuff with that, but we can't afford $1,000.
Yeah, I think that I think that needs to be clarified as far as the options. I don't think we've really been presented all the options. And I agree. I think that's beyond our budget at this point.
I can reach out to them to see how much it is just for a booth, like just for that, instead of having our name on the t-shirt and all that other stuff.
Fair enough.
Which I'm pretty sure they're already doing for us anyway, since we said that we are in support of it. So that's like double promoting. So I'll just ask them for that.
Yeah, and like it's social media, in the newsletter, all this other stuff. So
yeah, and we're as the city giving them in-kind promotion as well through our Visit Norwalk stuff, and I'm sure we'll post stuff on our Instagram as well. So I don't really think we need all the extra bells and whistles.
I'm essentially for Make Music Day doing the same thing. I'm promoting the Arts Commission through that. I'm not seeking any reciprocity for it. But at least in terms of financial. Is there a second for Kadim's motion to table the art manifestation pending the next meeting?
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Can we just get a roll call for aye on tabling that with Mark Allen, aye?
Brian Casper, aye.
Is Tardif, aye?
Nori Gordon,
Julie Lung, I.
Stephen, I think you voted aye, correct?
I seconded. Do I vote?
I think so. Yeah, you would vote as well.
Okay, then I do vote aye. Yes.
Thank you so much, Stephen. Okay, so the ayes carry that. We'll table that and we'll come back. We'll revisit that in July. And for everybody knows, the art manifestation is kind of like the Sono Arts Festival, but it's going to be more specific to the Wall Street area, a little smaller, a little bit more intimate. It's going to be a mix of arts and music and dance, hopefully, and it's going to be in the Isaac Street parking lot behind the Wall Street Theater in front of the Factory Underground studio. That was created initially by Mad Lab, which is a gallery creative studio that's located there on Leonard Street. They brought it to my business. They brought it to all the surrounding businesses in the area. And so there are multiple businesses and multiple entities participating in this. And we hope to grow it to become as vibrant as the Sono Arts Festival, but for the Wall Street area. So that's
I found on more information on their email that they sent us. A booth is $200, and if we don't have a booth in a tent, we can rent it for $150, so $350 for the booth fee and the rental fee for the tent.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like the idea.
I like the idea too. Will tell you what I really like the idea of is Arts Commission having its own printed branded tent that we could use at multiple festivals. So rather than just paying money to rent a tent, but that we actually have one that represents us in a very quality way. That's what I'm really interested to see. To where we can deploy that at multiple events for a very low cost.
Yeah.
That said, does anyone else have anything else before we motion to adjourn this meeting? Anybody else who really wants to stay? Hang out on Zoom. Okay, very good. I'm going to follow up with everyone by email and regarding the equity research that I've done, and we'll follow up on the printing for our banner as well as for other printed materials for us to have on hand at the NICE Festival and other events TBD. And on that note, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Do we have a second on a motion to adjourn?
I do, Nori.
And all in favor of adjournment with an aye from your name, Mark Allen, aye.
Brian Casper, aye.
Stephen Rust,
Aye.
Jolie Long,
I.
and Brian Casper.
Aye.
Okay, the ayes carry. Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate your patience and have a great evening. Thank you, Brian.
See ya, bye.